Good evening. We'd like to welcome everyone to the November 12th meeting of the Lower Providence Zoning Hearing Board meeting. If you all stand and pledge a flag, please. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. If we'll do the roll call, please, as we are on the agenda. Patty is here on Zoom, correct, Patty?
Yes, I'm here. I just can't figure out how to change my name on it.
Okay. Patty's here on Zoom. Kathy Eske's here. Gail Hager's here.
George Ozarowski's here.
Joe Pucci is absent.
Chris Curtis is here.
And Robert Hart is here.
And we have Michael Fury here at this meeting as our conflict counsel, and also Mike Bervinsky. From your agenda, you have two items, two hearings, 1 and 2. They have asked for a continuance, which they will receive if the board agrees, until the January 28th meeting.
Excuse me, Kathy, I believe they might have been a revised agenda. So actually, it's 2 and 3 are the ones that are being continued. The ones involving C. Everett, Inc. and Edgewood Builders Company.
One's online.
Yeah, they sent out a revised
Oh,
agenda.
I'm sorry, I didn't get the revised. I'm only the chairperson, but that's all right. George is going to keep us straight. So it's hearing 2 and 3 that will be continued till January 28th. Anyone have any objections? The board agrees?
Madam Chair, if I may, just put on the record, we did receive an email from the attorney for the applicants on both of those applications, number 20-19 C. Everett and 20-20 Edgewood Building, waiving the requirements of municipality planning code until the end of January, so that the board can consider a continuous request in the January 28th meeting.
All agree?
I did not hear that.
Sorry, what was,
Hi, Kathy. Jim Stefankevich. On the Zoom, I was not able to hear what that gentleman said.
I'm sorry, who is on Zoom?
Hi, Kathy. Jim Stefankevich.
Right.
I could not hear what that gentleman just said.
I'll be glad to repeat it, Madam Chair, if
Yes.
you'd like. With regard to applications,
That's much better, yes.
oh, thank you. With regard to applications 20-19 of C. Everett, Inc. and 20-20 of Edgewood Building Company, Inc., the applicant's counsel sent an email waiving the requirements of the municipality's planning code, asking for the hearings to be continued, and extending that date until the end of January, and anticipating that the hearings would be January 28th if the board is so inclined to grant the continuances.
Did you hear that?
Yes, thank you.
Okay, and the board's pleasure?
I'd like to make a motion that we grant the 2 continuances as requested.
I'll second the motion.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? It's granted.
A little bit of housekeeping, Kathy. I'm not sure, Chris or Bob, who's actually sitting on tonight? Who's the alternative and who's the one that's actually sitting?
Chris will be.
Chris,
I'm going to sit except for the November 12th case.
right, because Chris wasn't here. Yeah. Gail, will you read our statement, please?
The zoning hearing board will give all interested parties an opportunity to ask questions and testify in connection with the applications being heard tonight. After a witness for the applicant completes testimony, you will be given an opportunity to ask questions of that witness. In addition, after an applicant has completed its case, you will also be given an opportunity to testify, which will require you to be sworn in as a witness. If you wish to participate in the hearing on an application, you should complete the entry of appearance form, which will be provided to you by the zoning officer, who's just sitting at the table over here. We ask your cooperation in maintaining silence during the hearing so that both the board and the court reporter can hear the testimony of the witnesses. We also ask that all cell phones be turned off. Thank you.
Thank you, Gail. For those of you that have not been to a meeting before, basically what that says was an applicant presents their application. The audience has an opportunity to ask questions only on the first go-round, and then after the applicant and all the questions have been answered, you then have a second opportunity to give testimony. However, before we go into our hearing, I think we have to make a decision from last October 22nd meeting. So, Bob, do you have something you'd like to say?
Yes, Madam Chairwoman. I would like to make a motion regarding Z-19-26, the Curtis Building Company Incorporated. I move that the application be denied.
Do I have a second for that?
I'll second that.
A call for the vote. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Oh, that was Patty, okay. It's like, wait a minute, where'd that voice come from? Okay, the ayes have it, the applicant is turned down. Moving on to then our first hearing. George, do you want to read that, please?
Sure, this is regarding application Z 20-21, DFD Properties LLC at 3848 Germantown Pike in Collegeville, PA. The applicant is proposing a lot line change. Relief is requested from section 143-276A5 as modified lot will have a building coverage of 10.79%, where a minimum 10% is allowed. The subject property's parcel number is 43-00-05266-00-1. The subject property is located at 3852 Germantown Pike and is in the EVC Evansburg Village Commercial District.
Thank you, George. Is there anyone here to represent that applicant?
Madam Chairman, Charles Mandaracchia representing the applicant.
Okay, just a minute, Mr. Andracchia. Mr. Fury, do you have some exhibits you want to add first?
Yes, Madam Chair, members of the board, thank you. ZHB 1 will be a copy of the application. ZHB 2, proof of publication upon receipt, will be added to the file. I do have a copy of the legal ad. ZHB 3 will be the certificate of posting, and ZHB 4 will be the certificate of mailing, notice, and the mailing list. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Mandracchia, you can step up to the podium.
Thank you. I'd like to hand up some exhibits. The first one I'm just going to hand to the solicitor, which is just the agreement of sale, which gives us standing, equitable standing, to be able to present this request, because technically we're presenting it on behalf of the seller of the property, the Marises, that are actually in.
Charles, can you move your microphone? Sometimes people can't hear you too good unless they're speaking into it.
With this mask on.
I hear you.
Can you hear me now?
That's much
Yeah,
better.
Okay. My first exhibit is just a portion of the agreement of sale, which I'll mark as A1 for applicant 1, just the first page and the second page, which basically gives us equitable standing to be able to present this application, since it is actually not the applicant's property at this time, but the Marises that they're going to sell. So,
Thank you.
did I say A1? That's okay.
Mike, are you going to eventually need a signed agreement, or is the first two pages good enough for you?
We have signatures here as far as that goes, Mr. Vice Chair, and it's between DFD Properties LLC, the applicant, and Kathy D. Maris, the owner of the property. The only thing would be for council to just verify that the agreement's still abiding. In other words, the closing date hasn't passed yet.
That's correct. And the owners of the property are actually here if you have any questions, if there's questions to it. The second exhibit I actually gave will be, redacted copy of the plan, make it easier to read rather than having the whole large plan.
Thank you.
exhibit's actually a memorandum of law, which I'm going to mark because it also has some factual, the facts regarding this. I'll mark this A3.
While Mr. Andracki, is passing that stuff out, is there anyone in the audience that wants to become a party to this application?
Anybody on Zoom raising their hand, Mike?
Okay, thank you.
Members of the board, thank you for hearing us tonight. This is a pretty,
Get closer into your mic, or you can take it out.
you know, in my lifetime, very seldom do people ever have to tell me to speak up. Thank you. Okay. This is a real simple application. My client's buying approximately 7,000 square feet from the Marises to use as a parking. Currently, the building coverage you need to have is no more than 10%. By the Marises selling that portion of the property, I can show you where it is. Let me just walk up. The portion we're talking about is right here, this little square here.
I think Mike has it up. You can-
Okay, yes, thank you.
That would be
Mike.
easier.
Thank you very much, yeah. Yeah, it's this little square right here. And so the maximum building coverage allowed is 10%. By the Marises selling this property to my client, to the applicant, it will increase the building coverage to 10.79%. So we would need, so the allowance would be less than 1% over, which then I believe would make this a de minimis variance. And I explained the law in there. What I'm going to do is call my client to the stand or have him testify from there, and that's Mr. Phil DeGento, the owner of the...
Hey, Charles, I think we're okay if there's nobody here against it to you can incorporate what you said. I mean,
Okay.
Unless there's other facts, so you can summarize further and then ask him, swear him in and.
Okay, I can, and then what he's going to use this for is to park his trailers and everything. He's not going to have any macadam on there or anything. He may stone it because he has a landscaping business. And what that is going to do is actually going to help, for lack of a better term, beautify the property, because a lot of the equipment now is parked on the front on Germantown Pike. So now he's going to take that equipment and put it on the back so that it'll be more aesthetic for the area. It will help the aesthetics by doing this. He doesn't plan, like I said, he may stone it, but then he'll have to go in front of the supervisors. Right now, he's just going to leave it as is. For all intents and purposes, we're not doing anything differently. All we're doing is moving lines. The property's not changing. So everything is the same except the ownership of that small portion is going from the Marises to Mr. DeGento or his company. It will actually help the aesthetics of the area, and it won't create any more traffic. Nothing's going to change. The only thing is we're moving lines a little bit, but everything else stays the same. Mr. DeGento, is pretty much everything I said accurate?
Hold on, he should be
You need to get sworn in.
First name Philip, last name DiGento, spelled B-I-G-I-N-T-O.
Use the microphone, please, and you can either sit or take it out of the holder.
Phil, pretty much everything that I said, do you want to explain your business? What type of business do you have?
So I have a landscaping business. I own and operate DiGento Landscaping at 3848 Germantown Pike.
Are you a resident of Lower Providence Township?
Yes, sir.
How long have you lived in Lower Providence Township?
Since I've been born.
Okay. And on this property that I just explained, what are you using it for?
So the property is the home for the landscaping business. It houses all the equipment, the trucks, and my office.
And the parcel that you're buying from the Marises, what are you going to use that for?
So we'd like to beautify the property. Right now, we have some equipment parked on the lawn, and I'd like to get that off of there and parked on the side, off of Germantown Pike, and beautify the front of the area, the front yard there.
Is the traffic flow going to change? The amount of traffic you're going to have in and out of the property, will that change at all?
No.
And what are your hours of operation during the summer?
So hours of operation are from 7 in the morning to 5 p.m.
I have no further questions if the board has any.
Will you be adding any additional buildings or
No.
coverage?
No, ma'am.
Board, any questions?
You just take the marker and just show us where your property is now and
Bob,
how
you always
that will
wanted to
be.
play with this marker, don't you? You're a good friend there, right here.
No, that's the property in question.
Yes.
And where is the landscaping business? How does that connect to that? So right
Okay.
in there.
This is, here's Phil's property right here. So all this is just adjacent right to it.
And the Merritt's property is
Is
below
this,
it.
right.
And also they have the garage.
Right. So this is the Maris property right here. If you look on your plan that I have, you can see it better. It's a better.
Actually, I have a question for either Mike or Charles.
Yes.
Is this, I mean, I don't remember landscaping being a use that's permitted in this district. Where's the use of a landscape yard be allowed?
They have allowed this. The township has said that he's already using it. He purchased it. They have no problem.
Well, I'm not saying, well, I'm not sure about his, did you get a zoning relief to be on where you're at now?
So I've been there since 2010.
Okay, the village commercial, when it came in after that.
Correct.
But what about for the new parcel? I mean, it's still not a use that's permitted because it's not being grandfathered because it's a new lot. Don't you need a use variance? And maybe that's more of a question for Mike Fury, or unless I'm missing something.
I think we're just using it, not necessarily, it's just for the parking and not for, I mean, no building's going to go there or anything, only some equipment.
Listen, I agree with you, this is de minimis, I'm not arguing with that. I just want to make sure you get the relief necessary in order to do what you want to do. Because
I understand.
there's no use coming back if that's going to be an issue. Mike,
Yeah, I think right now, he's not asking, I mean, the way I was looking at it, he's really not asking for the use at this point. He's looking to draw the line, and with regard to the property that's subject to the application, they're looking for a building coverage variance so that he can draw the line, okay?
yeah, but wouldn't you have to come back if you wanted to use the lot to be as a landscape yard or to park equipment?
If that is entirely possible.
And we didn't advertise for that. I'm just.
Oh, no, you didn't. You
No,
can't,
no.
you can't, and that lot is not actually, now part of this lot. And that, his lot, the DFD lot, wasn't even advertised either, so.
And I think you're right. I think for now, you're just doing a lot line change, which is fine. But if you're actually going to want to use it, you may have to come back here again, is my point. Because you would need then a use variance because it's not a permitted thing in this district.
Yeah,
And I'm not trying to mess up anybody's deal or anything. I'm just pointing out this fact. Mike,
Mike.
you have something to say?
I'm just sharing my interpretation of this. Basically, what we're doing is making the existing lot that is arguably non-conforming for use, larger. And so there's not really a use question involved in it. We're not changing the Maris's lot use. We're just changing the line of where it is.
Yeah, but if and I'm assuming for a second, because this ordinance was passed in 2009, the Evansburg Village Commercial District. Arguably, if he's grandfathered for his property to do what he wants, that's fine, because that would be then a non-conforming use. But if you're not going to do part of the property and you're adding to it that is not part of the non-conformity, then you need a use variance to do something that is not permitted in the district. You're enlarging the non-conforming lot. It doesn't apply to this ground.
I hear exactly what you're saying. I'm going to call you George. I don't want to be disrespectful.
No, that's okay, Charlie. Yeah, I've known you a long time. I'm not worried about that.
I think when we went to the township and to the engineer, they were more worried about the building coverage. And I did look at it, and I didn't see landscaping. I agree with you. But the township never raised an issue because we're just continuing what we have. And the purpose of what we're doing is for the betterment of the township, in the sense that it will create better aesthetics and get a lot of the equipment that's on the front to the side. So if we were putting a building there, I think your argument may be better served. I understand exactly what you're saying, but I think just because we're parking something there, we're not, well, yeah, we're using it to park, which becomes part of the business, but it's actually business is still being run out of his office, which is on the existing lot.
It's really not before us, so I don't mean to sidetrack you. I mean, I think the variance you're requesting is pretty straightforward. It is, I believe, de minimis in my one opinion. Not speaking for everyone else. I'm just looking out for you later on down. I don't want you to run into an issue later on. I'm just pointing it out to you.
I understand. I mean, if the township wants us to come back, then, I mean, be in front of you, fine people, you know, it's a pleasant evening. What can I say? Kathy, I can't change.
Does that satisfy George? Yeah,
I mean, it does. I just wanted to make sure it's clear.
yeah, I think that's a good point. Anyone else on the board have any questions?
Just clarification, so where you park your trucks, if you, are you going to place any different surfaces? I read in the handout, it says you're going to potentially apply loose gravel or stone, no asphalt or anything?
There's a possibility, but we're not going to. We're definitely not going to put asphalt on it. We're definitely not going to put macadam on it. If we go back to the township to ask them to put gravel, it's landscaping equipment, so it's not. We're not putting heavy equipment on there. We're not putting trucks. So at this point, we think it's fine the way it is because the type of equipment that's going there is not heavy equipment.
Okay, thank you.
Anyone in the audience have any questions for this applicant? Anybody on Zoom have any questions for this applicant?
I don't see any at this time.
Okay. Anyone have any testimony that they'd like to give? Anyone on Zoom? Charles, do you have a wrap-up?
I think I pretty much said everything, and I think this is an educated board that understands the meaning. And I put the memorandum of law, which this is a de minimis variance, and de minimis variances don't necessarily have to meet the same burden as a hardship because it is de minimis. And I think because it is, everything that my client is doing is for the betterment of the township, making the area look better. And what he's asking for is not something major, and the Marises, whose property it is, are in agreement, and they've been members of the township for a long time, so. And I know being on the zoning hearing board, you sometimes struggle with, have they created a hardship? I think, I think this is an easier one for you to decide, and I would just ask that you approve this application to a lifelong resident who's just trying to run a business and do everything right and help the township. Thank you very much.
Do we have any discussion here? We want to in the back. Anybody want to make a?
I'll make a motion.
Make a motion?
I'll make a motion that we grant a variance from section 143, 276A5 for building coverage of exceeding 10%.
Do I have a second?
I'll second.
Call for the vote. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
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 Nays? Ayes have it.
Thank you,
Onward.
everyone, for your time. I appreciate it. It's always a pleasure being home. Thank you.
Do I have a motion to close the meeting?
I'll make a motion to close the meeting.
All those in favor? Aye. Meeting's adjourned. See you all in January. Have safe holidays. And be well, huh?